You and I lived peacefully, but hearts can change like restless waves, and fear became the rising tide. Fragile hearts are like the sea, ever changing. We shared one sea. You and I lived peacefully. But hearts can change like restless waves, and fear became the rising tide. Fragile hearts are like the sea, ever changing, wild and free. Though the waves wash tears away, the sea remembers every day. Still I watch the distant shore,